Ides of March, the final night of Julius Caesar. The 15th of March, 44 BC. The night is heavy over Rome, a city that breathes both glory and fear. Within the marble halls, Julius Caesar, conqueror, dictator, visionary, faces the silence of his final evening. What he does not know is that tomorrow, history will etch his name in blood. The city of Rome in 44 BC did not sleep easily. The Ides of March approached, and the air was thick with whispers. Senators murmured in the marble halls, soldiers lingered uneasily near the forum, and merchants in the crowded streets spoke in hushed tones. But in the grand villa on the Palatine hill, one man carried the weight of the Republic on his shoulders. Julius Caesar, dictator, general, and conqueror, stood at the height of his power. He had crossed the Rubicon, crushed Pompey, and bent the Senate to his will. His image was carved in stone, his name etched into the heart of Rome. And yet, on this night, he could not escape a feeling that something darker lingered in the shadows. The torches flickered in the corridors of his home. Beyond the walls, the night of Rome pulsed with distant sounds, the barking of stray dogs, the clatter of wagon wheels on cobblestone, and the murmur of wine shops that never closed. But within the villa, silence pressed close, broken only by the footsteps of servants and the uneasy sighs of Calpurnia, Caesar's wife. She had dreamed again another vision of blood. Calpurnia begged him not to go to the Senate on the morrow. She spoke of omens, comets streaking across the sky, the strange sacrifice of the priests, the whispers of soothsayers. Beware the Ides of March, one had warned. Caesar dismissed her fears with a wave of his hand, though in truth, a shadow gnawed at his thoughts. For all his victories, all his titles, he was still a man of flesh and blood. And flesh is fragile, yet pride is stronger. Caesar believed himself destined for greatness beyond mortal reach, to bend before fear, to hide from the Senate that would be weakness. And weakness was not a word for Julius Caesar. Still, as he lay down to rest, the torches burned lower, and the vast city of Rome seemed to hold its breath. Outside, in the darkness of the forum, conspirators gathered in secret. Men once called allies, men he trusted. Brutus, Cassius, Casca whispered together beneath the silent gaze of the gods. The night was heavy with destiny. While Caesar slept beneath the weight of uneasy dreams, the heart of Rome still stirred. In the shadow of the Capitol, torches burned low as men gathered in secret chambers. They were senators, nobles, men of rank, yet tonight they were conspirators. Cassius, sharp-eyed and restless, spoke first. Tomorrow, he will wear the crown. Tomorrow, the Republic dies. His voice trembled not with fear, but with anger, burning against the shadow of Caesar's rising power. Others shifted uneasily. To raise a hand against Caesar was to strike at a man who had become more than mortal in the eyes of the people. His victories, his generosity, his vision, they had bound Rome to him. Yet power had made him untouchable, and untouchable men breed envy. Brutus sat apart, silent. Of all the men in that room, he alone carried the heaviest burden. Caesar had been a father to him, a patron, a friend. But to Brutus, the Republic was sacred. If Caesar became king, Rome's ancient freedom would vanish. Brutus, Cassius pressed, leaning forward in the dim light. The people love you. If you stand with us, the deed will be seen not as murder, but as justice. Silence fell. The only sound was the crackle of torches, the hiss of burning oil. Brutus closed his eyes. He saw the Forum, crowded with citizens. He saw the Senate, the marble pillars that had stood for centuries. He saw his own honor, the weight of his name. At last, he spoke. If it must be done, it must be done for Rome. A murmur rose among the conspirators. Relief mingled with dread. Each man understood what lay ahead. Tomorrow, in the theater of Pompey, blades would be drawn, Caesar would fall, and the Republic, they told themselves, would be free. Yet in the silence after their whispers, the gods themselves seemed to hold judgment. Beyond the chamber walls, the night deepened, heavy with fate. The night deepened, and Rome seemed restless beneath the stars. Strange sights and sounds unsettled the city. A lion was said to have wandered the Forum. The horses of Caesar's guard refused their feed. Priests whispered of entrails that revealed no heart. In the villa, Calpurnia stirred from uneasy sleep. She rushed to Caesar, her face pale with terror. "Do not go tomorrow," she pleaded. "I saw you in my dreams, your statue bleeding, the Senate bathed in blood. Do not tempt the fates." Caesar listened, weary. He had heard too many such warnings. Comets, dreams, sacrifices. Rome was full of superstition, yet even he could not ignore the weight of her fear. For a moment, he considered yielding. For a moment, he thought of remaining home. But then came Decimus Brutus, a friend and ally, though already sworn to the conspirators. He arrived at dawn, smiling, his words like honey. "Caesar, the Senate waits. They plan to offer you new honors. To delay would seem weakness. Do not let whispers rule Rome." Caesar's pride stirred. Weakness, that was a word he could not endure. Against Calpurnia's desperate pleas, he dressed in his white toga. The golden laurel rested upon his brow. He was Julius Caesar, master of Rome. What were omens to him? Yet even as he stepped into the morning light, shadows clung to his path. The streets of Rome were crowded with faces, some eager, some fearful. And among them, a soothsayer's voice rose again. "Beware the Ides of March." Caesar paused, just for a heartbeat, then smiled. "The Ides of March have come," he said lightly. "Yes," the soothsayer replied, his eyes dark, "but not yet gone." The morning sun rose over Rome, but its light carried no warmth. Caesar's litter carried him through the crowded streets, past temples and statues, past the very Forum where the Republic had once stood unshaken. At last, he arrived at the theater of Pompey, the great hall where the Senate now met. It was bitterly ironic, for it was here, in the shadow of the man he had defeated, that Caesar's fate awaited him. Inside, senators stood, their togas white as marble, their faces masks of courtesy. But beneath those masks lay hidden daggers. As Caesar entered, voices rose in greeting. He smiled, majestic, unbent. To all the city, he was still the conqueror of Gaul, the man who had broken the chains of Rome. He took his seat, the laurel glinting in the dim light. One by one, the senators approached. Petitioners pressed closer, encircling him. Their hands trembled, not with supplication, but with anticipation. Then it came. A sudden thrust Casca's blade striking first. Caesar gasped, twisting in shock. Another blow followed, then another. Steel flashed, blood flowed. The chamber erupted in chaos. And there, among them, was Brutus, the man he had trusted most, the man he had loved as a son. Caesar's voice broke through the clash. "E tu, Brute?" In that moment, the weight of betrayal crushed him more than the blades. He staggered, pulled his toga about him, and fell at the foot of Pompey's statue. Blood spread across the marble floor, mingling with history itself. The Senate chamber fell silent. Rome had no master now, only shadows. And so, beneath the marble pillars of Rome, Julius Caesar fell not by the sword of enemies, but by the hands of those he once called friends. The Ides of March did not end a tyrant. It ended a man, and in his fall, it cast the Republic into chaos. From that day, Rome would never again be the same. The whispers of betrayal still echo through the centuries, a reminder that even the greatest of men cannot escape the shadows of fate nor the daggers of ambition. Tonight, as the world sleeps, we remember power is fleeting, loyalty is fragile, and history never forgets.